Okay, let's unpack this. You've brought us a source today that really dives into something fundamental, doesn't it? How we deal with change.
Absolutely. It's core human experience. And this source, well, it tackles this huge topic using a surprisingly simple story.
Right, we're looking at a summary of Who Moved My Cheese
Yeah.
by Spencer Johnson. It's framed as a fable, yeah. But the summary suggests there's a lot more under the surface.
Exactly. Loads of insights once you dig in. And that's kind of our mission for this deep dive, isn't it?
Yeah, to pull out those key nuggets, the actionable stuff about navigating change, specifically for you listening,
Yeah.
how it applies to your life.
So the setup is pretty straightforward. There's a maze,
A maze, right.
and inside, four characters. Two are Mice, Sniff, and Scurry,
Yeah.
and two are little people, Hem and Haw. They look like us, think like us, sort of.
Got it. And they're all looking for cheese.
Exactly. But cheese here is, well, it's a metaphor.
Right. For anything we want in life, like a job or health, relationships.
Security, money, peace of mind, whatever your cheese happens to be.
Okay. So initially, things are good for them.
Yeah, initially they strike gold. Or cheese, rather. They find this huge stash at Station C. Life becomes easy, comfortable, predictable.
Ah, the comfort zone. But here's where it gets interesting, right? Because, well, the cheese doesn't last forever.
No, the inevitable happens. As the summary highlights, it starts to run out slowly, maybe at first.
But definitely disappearing. And this is the pivot point, how they react.
It really is. The mice, Sniff and Scurry. They're simple, instinctive.
How so?
Well, Sniff, he literally sniffs out the change early, notices the supply dwindling, and Scurry, he just scurries into action immediately.
No hesitation.
Not really. They don't analyze it. They don't complain. They just accept it's time to find new cheese. Simple, direct, action-oriented.
Which is a big contrast to Hem and Haw, the little people.
Oh, totally. They're more like, well, like us often. More complex, emotional.
Preying to overthinking.
Definitely. When the cheese diminishes, their reaction is different. Denial, frustration, anger.
They blame things.
Yeah, who moved my cheese? They keep going back to the empty Station C, just hoping it'll reappear.
Wow. Just sitting there. That's such a powerful image. It makes you wonder, why do we resist change so much? Why cling like that?
It's a huge question, a real human challenge. And the story, it then zooms in on Haw.
Okay, so Haw starts like him, resisting.
Yeah, initially he's stuck too, frustrated, scared to leave Station C, even though it's empty. But eventually the pain of staying, it gets worse than the fear of leaving.
Oh, the tipping point.
Exactly. He realizes sitting there isn't bringing any cheese back. So despite being afraid, he decides to go out into the maze alone.
That takes courage.
It does. And right before he leaves, or maybe as he's leaving, he writes something on the wall for him. A question.
What does he write?
What would you do if you weren't afraid?
Oof. That cuts deep. That feels like the core question of the whole thing, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's central. And as Haw ventures out, the summary notes something interesting happens to him.
He changes.
Yeah. He starts reflecting more, noticing things differently. And kind of surprisingly, the actual search, the journey, it starts to feel, well, exhilarating.
Really? Not just scary.
Scary too, probably. But also exciting. He's rediscovering something in himself.
And this is when he starts writing on the walls.
That's it. As he learns things navigating the maze, he scribbles these little insights, these maxims, on the walls for himself, maybe hoping Hem follows.
And these maxims, these are the key lessons the source pulls out.
Exactly. These are the nuggets we need to unpack now. See how they apply to, you.
Okay, let's do it. What's the first big one?
The first absolutely foundational insight Hall learns is they keep moving the cheese.
Okay, seems straightforward. Change happens.
Right, but the nuance the summary points out is it's not just that change happens, it's that it's constant. The cheese wasn't there one day and gone the next. It was diminishing all along.
We just didn't notice or didn't want to.
Often, yeah. We get used to our cheese, whatever it is. Feel entitled to it almost. Expect it to just stay there.
So when it changes, it's not just disappointment. It's like shock, anger. We start blaming things.
Exactly. We lament what we lost, which just makes everything feel worse. We get caught thinking things should stay the same or only change how we want. And that just leads to, well, suffering when reality doesn't match up.
Right. The summary mentioned something about two arrows from Buddhism.
Yeah, that's a great analogy it brings up. The first arrow is the painful event itself, the cheese moving. That hurts. You can't always avoid it.
Right.
But the second arrow, That's our reaction. The resistance, the blaming, the why me. At that second arrow, that's the one we shoot ourselves with. It makes the suffering way worse.
So the real pain is often in the clinging, the resistance.
A lot of it, yes. So this first insight is really about accepting impermanence. Things change, good times, bad times. This too shall pass, right? Knowing the cheese will move helps us detach from that resistance.
Okay, that makes sense. What's the next insight from Ha?
Building right on that, the second one is get ready for the cheese to move.
So be proactive, not just reactive.
Exactly. Think about the mice sniff and scurry. They weren't totally blindsided like Hem and Haw. The summary says they kept their running shoes handy, basically, ready to go.
They were prepared.
Prepared, yeah.
Yeah.
They could sniff out the change early, notice the signs, and were ready to screact quickly. That gives you a huge advantage.
It's like anticipating.
Kind of. The source mentions Pippa Malmgren's book, Signals. The idea isn't about predicting the future perfectly, because you can't. But you can be better prepared by just paying attention, noticing the small shifts around you in your job, your industry, your relationships.
Forewarned is forearmed, basically.
Exactly. If you see the signs, you can start getting ready before it's a full-blown crisis.
Which ties into the next one, I bet. Smell the cheese often, so, when it's getting old.
You got it. This is all about complacency. The danger zone.
When things feel too comfortable.
Right. We stop paying close attention. We just assume things will stay the same. The mice kept checking the cheese. Hem and Haw. They got lost in routine assumptions and then just resentment about the past.
It's a direct challenge to the listener then, isn't it? Like, look around your life. Is any of your cheese getting stale? Your job, skills, relationships?
Yeah, are you getting too comfortable somewhere? What little steps could you take now before things change drastically? Maybe learn something new, reconnect somewhere.
It takes self-awareness, though, and acting on your gut sometimes, even if things seem okay on the surface.
It does. And our tendency, like Hem, is often to resist that, to think, oh, it used to be so good, instead of dealing with the now.
You get stuck looking backward.
Totally stuck. And Haw's big realization here is you have to let go of the old stuff that isn't working anymore if you want to find something new and maybe better.
Easier said than done, letting go.
Oh, absolutely. The summary quotes the author, "The quicker you let go of old cheese, the sooner you can enjoy new cheese." Simple words, but letting go. That often means facing uncertainty.
And uncertainty usually means fear, which leads to the next insight.
You're right on track. Insight 4. Overcoming fear and visualizing new cheese.
Okay, so Ha was definitely feeling the fear.
Big time. It's what kept him stuck with Hem initially. But he found a way to manage it, a technique the summary really highlights.
Which was?
Visualization. He started vividly picturing himself finding and enjoying new cheese, like really specific, delicious new cheese, better than the old stuff.
Focusing on the potential gain, not just the potential loss.
Exactly. That positive future vision is incredibly powerful. It helps counteract that natural bias we have towards focusing on risks and what could go wrong. Athletes do it, innovators do it.
Makes sense. Fear has a purpose, right? Protection.
It does, absolutely. Protects us from real danger. But the source notes, sometimes fear gets overprotective. It stops us from taking necessary risks, from exploring opportunities we need for growth, for finding that new cheese.
So it comes back to that question on the wall.
What would you do if you weren't afraid? Yeah, it's about tuning into that voice of courage, pushing past the fear that holds you back, and just considering the possibilities, what could be out there.
Okay. So once you manage the fear, start moving, what's next?
The next step, Haw realized, is simple but crucial. Move with the cheese.
Meaning adapt as things are changing, not just after.
Precisely. Be willing to shift, to adapt, to kind of roll with it while it's happening. And what's really interesting here is the idea that if you can learn to do this, to embrace the movement, the discoveries you make, the new experiences, they might actually be more rewarding than the old comfort zone ever was.
That challenges our desire for stability, though. We like routine.
We do. It's so easy to get stuck in a rut, even a comfortable one that's slowly fading. This insight is a reminder that adapting isn't just about surviving change. It can actually be about thriving because of it.
Which leads nicely into the next one, maybe the payoff. Savor the adventure and enjoy the taste of new cheese.
Exactly. This is where the whole perspective flips. It's asking you, what if change isn't something to just grit your teeth and endure? What if you could actually embrace it, maybe even enjoy it?
Enjoy the chaos.
Well, maybe enjoy the adventure of it. The story shows Haw's journey facing fear. Searching it didn't just lead him to new cheese. The journey itself changed him, made him more resilient, more curious, more capable.
So the reward isn't just the destination, the new cheese. It's also who you become along the way.
Beautifully put. The joy of finding the new stuff is huge, yes.
Yeah.
But it's amplified by the lessons learned, the confidence gained during the search. It suggests the more open we are to change, the more of the world and our own potential we unlock.
We become better explorers.
Yes. And then, fittingly, the story comes full circle. Ha repeats the very first maxim he wrote.
Which was
They keep moving the cheese.
reinforcing that it never stops. It's not a one-off crisis.
Exactly. Change is the baseline reality. The skills Ha learned weren't just for that one time. They're for life. It's a continuous process.
So these characters, they're not just characters, are they? The summary says they represent parts of us.
That's a key takeaway. Sniff, the part that senses change early. Sturry, the part that acts quickly. Him, the part that resists, gets scared, blames. And Ha, the part that learns to adapt, hopefully. We've all got bits of each inside us.
Mice have that simple instinctual approach. The little people get tangled in emotions and thoughts.
Right. Sometimes our complexity gets in our own way. But whether you feel more like a mouse or a little person in a situation, the need is universal. We all have to find our way when things shift.
And that's why this matters to you, listening. It's a kind of roadmap, a mental model for your own changes. Big, small, work, life.
Exactly. A simple framework for complex situations.
Okay, so wrapping this deep dive up, the core message from the source seems pretty clear. Change is the constant.
Right. So the critical skills aren't about stopping change. They're about anticipating it, adapting to it, and maybe even finding some enjoyment in that process of transformation.
And the biggest hurdle, as the story shows again and again,
It's fear. Fear of loss, fear of the unknown, that paralysis.
which brings us right back to Ha's question on the wall, the challenge for all of us. What would you do if you weren't afraid?
Yeah. And the summary ends with this really fitting quote from A.J. Cronin. He compares life to a maze.
Like the story.
Exactly. He says, life is no straight and easy corridor, but a maze of passages through which we must seek our way. He acknowledges, yeah, we're going to feel lost sometimes, confused.
But there's hope in it.
There is. He adds, always, if we have faith, a door will open for us. And here's the kicker. Not perhaps one that we ourselves would ever have thought of, but one that will ultimately prove good for us.
Trusting that the path forward, even if unexpected, might be the right one.
It's a powerful thought to hold on to when you're in the maze.
So armed with all these insights from this surprisingly deep little fable,
Mm-hmm.
here's the final thought for you to chew on. What will you do the next time someone moves your cheese?